I'll never forget, during one of my visits to the Sudbury Valley School, watching 4 5-year-old girls at a school meeting, akin to a New England town meeting, at which a trial of a student was being conducted. The young girls, 5 years old, were straining to read a long bill of particulars before casting their vote. It was clear by their intentness and their desire to participate in making the rules that govern their activities that they had a powerful motivation to learn how to read. And as a byproduct, their sense of personal responsibility, teamwork, shared decision-making, and citizenship would be enhanced. And these, as I say these words, there's something much richer than those comments, those words. Imagine how dangerous our world will become if we excel in teaching science and technology and are wildly successful at that, but students do not learn democracy and civic responsibility, which is necessary to make proper use of the technology. We would become a world of Dr. Strangeloves, capable of doing more harm to ourselves than good. I've been present at the school during the time when the school administrators and teachers are elected by the students and their salaries are set by the students. And it's amazing to observe Dan Greenberg nervously awaiting the results, even though as the founder, he is always reinstated by 97%. Dan Greenberg is a man totally devoted to principles of learning that are compatible with an idealized view of the human potential and freedom. His lifelong journey to create and operate a school of the future is truly courageous. He left his position as professor of physics at Columbia University to follow his dream and create a school that was aligned with modern cognitive science, but as important, aligned with principles of democracy and the social system that must evolve to cope with the rapid evolution of science and technology. He's a prolific writer, not because he seeks recognition, but because he's the most generous man I know, always willing to share his knowledge and wisdom about the learning process, which we all look forward to right now. Dan?
Thanks. Thank you, Mort. I'm going to give a presentation today which will be a little different from the ones that you've been hearing till now, and perhaps surprisingly to you, a little less high-tech. And what I'm going to try to do is go back to first principles and ask a few questions that I think ought to be asked and dealt with before we get on to the business of restructuring schools. And I'm going to start with a question that may seem a little silly, and that is, what is the purpose of schools in society? Why do we have schools? And I'm talking about the kinds of schools now that are universal, that is to say, schools that are aimed at the entire population and not just at a few specialists that have always been trained throughout history. Because as you all know, there haven't been schools throughout most of history. In fact, the world did very well, apparently, without schools without public schools.